In a New York Times article from January of 2019 called "The Unbearable Heaviness of Clutter," there is, quote, "a growing body of evidence that clutter can negatively impact mental well-being, particularly among women. Clutter can also induce a physiological response, including increased levels of cortisol, a stress hormone. We know this, but the question remains, what do we do about our clutter?" Well, if you're like me, you've had phases of decluttering where you go in with no plan. You're frustrated with how your surroundings look, so you go in and just start rage purging, just throwing things out right and left.
All of this crap has got to go!
While this can be temporarily effective, it doesn't give you a sustainable method that you can use through your entire house, a method that can continue even after your rage burns out and after your motivation has evaporated. So I wanted to look at some decluttering methods. Some of these have been tremendously helpful for me in the decluttering process, and maybe they can be helpful for you too. The first method is well known, and that is the KonMari method, which was of course made popular by Marie Kondo and the life-changing magic of tidying up.
Does this spark joy?
This method became well known, especially with her show, but in case you're not familiar with it, I will give you the breakdown. Number one, organize items by category, for example, clothes or books, rather than organizing by room. Next, the important thing is to follow the right order. The recommended order that she gives in her method is to do clothes first, then books, then papers, then miscellaneous items, and sentimental items. Lastly, she recommends that you discard first. Remove items before organizing. This is a great method. It definitely has its perks. I found this method to be very helpful when I was single and living in an apartment. This was a method that was very doable for me. I enjoyed organizing by category. I enjoyed pulling everything out and going through stuff and just doing like a major purge.
So tangible and so satisfying.
But as I'm now in a different season of life, I'm married, I have 3 children. This method has not been doable for me lately, but it can be very effective. Next is the Core 4 method, and this method is recommended by professional organizer Kayleen Kelly, and just like the title suggests, there are 4 steps to this method. Clear out, categorize, cut out, and contain. First step, you're going to clear out everything in a particular space, and then you're going to start to categorize. Now, she recommends categorizing first and then cutting out, but I think probably I would say, and she suggests this as well, that those 2 categories kind of interchange, that as you're categorizing, you can cut out, and that you don't necessarily have to categorize stuff that's junk that you're going to throw out.
That literally makes no sense.
And then lastly, you're containing. No shocker there, you're taking what's left and doing that organization piece to put it in appropriate containers and get it put away. Next is the no mess decluttering method from Dana K. White. Great method if you are someone that gets overwhelmed with decluttering. You make a huge mess, and then before you can get everything decluttered, you get interrupted, you end up smushing a bunch of stuff back in the closet and feel like no progress is made.
Well, that was a massive waste of time.
Have you been there? I've definitely been there. So Dana suggests that you attack decluttering differently. Rather than clearing everything out of a space like the Core 4 method advocates, she suggests instead choosing a small space. As you are looking through the items in that space, you're dealing with things immediately. You're not clearing stuff out of shelves, you're not making huge piles, you are taking things out one at a time and going, this needs to go in the declutter box, and you're tossing it in the declutter box. This needs to go in the trash, and it goes in the trash right then. This goes in my kid's bedroom. You're taking it to the bedroom right then, putting it away and coming back. So this feels like, from an efficiency perspective, like it would be really frustrating, but if you are someone that is fed up with the mess that always seems to come with decluttering, this is a match made in heaven type of method for you.
I've been waiting my whole life for this.
You are able to declutter in very small chunks. You are not left with any mess. If you get interrupted, it's no big deal. You can just leave the project. You can come back later when you're able. You are not left with this horrendous pile of stuff. Dana is a genius. She is a decluttering genius, and I think this method is awesome. I have used it many times, especially since having kids where I know that I don't have a large chunk of time to work with. She has helped me so much to feel like I can still declutter even though the circumstances of a day aren't ideal for it. Next is what I call the Minimalista Method. Now, this book I have just gotten into lately, Minimalista, and this looks like it might just be like a coffee table book that you would put out to look nice, but this book is packed full of great information. I'm really enjoying going through it right now. Shira Gill goes through her steps. She's a professional organizer and a minimalist, and she goes through her steps for how she declutters a space, organizes a space, elevates a space. If you are someone that is into minimalism and into kind of home decor and kind of minimalist style, you will love this book. It is so great. Oh, and if you are getting value out of this video, don't forget to subscribe. So Shira has 5 steps to her method, and I honestly think the first step is the most important, and that is clarify. She talks about the importance of clarifying what you want to do in a space and what your goals are before you jump in and start decluttering. Oftentimes we don't think about the fact that what our values are and what our goals are for our home really are going to dictate what we keep and what we toss or give away. Her second step is to edit, which is, you know, a fancy way of saying declutter, but basically editing the space, decluttering the stuff that you don't want, don't need, honing in on your goals for that space, and putting your decluttering through the filter of what you want that space to be when it's all said and done. Next, she has organize. No explanation really needed there. But then the next step I love, and that is to elevate. She really puts an emphasis as well, not just on getting rid of stuff and getting it organized, but also making it look beautiful. And there are so many gorgeous pictures in her book. It is so inspirational. Last step she has in her system is to maintain. If you've gone to all the work to declutter and organize, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to maintain all the work that you've done. And so she definitely touches on that as well, which is so helpful. Finally, there is the 20-10 method. And this is a method that is not necessarily the steps of decluttering, but more how you want to pace yourself through the process. So the 20-10 method says work for 20 minutes on decluttering, and then you take 10 minutes off. You do something fun and enjoyable to kind of reward yourself. So 20 minutes on, 10 minutes off. I share this one because so often we just kind of get into this mindset that decluttering has to be this thing that we just like marathon through, and it's exhausting and it lasts for hours. And it can be, but it's equally true that you can do short spurts like this, and with having that positive reinforcement of that 10-minute reward after 20 minutes of work, that will keep you in a positive frame of mind to keep going and really keep hyping yourself up that you can do it. It is possible. You're making progress. So when looking at these methods, it can be super overwhelming because obviously the first thought is, what method should I choose? What's going to be right for me? I would go back to Shira Gill and her whole idea of clarifying. I think in choosing what decluttering method is going to work best for you, it's important to ask 3 questions. Number 1, what are your values? What is important to you? What are the things that you are wanting to accomplish in your life? Second question, what is your season of life? I mentioned earlier that the KonMari method was an awesome method for me in decluttering when I was single, but is no longer workable for me as a married person with children. So it really does pay off to look at the season of life that you are in and to see what's going to make the most sense. Finally, what does your ideal space reflect? As you look around your home, allow yourself to dream a bit. If money was no object, if time was no issue, how would you have your home set up? Look around your house and see it with fresh eyes. We have gotten used to the clutter in our houses, and we walk past it and walk past it and walk past it. What would it be like to walk into a room in your home, to look at those piles and say, I'm going to get those out of here, and then I'm going to make this room what I want it to be? Clutter is an unbearable weight, and it doesn't matter what method you choose to get rid of it. What matters is that you're getting rid of it and making progress. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments below what decluttering methods you've used, or if there's any you heard in the video that you would like to try. And if you are interested in more content like this, go ahead and click right here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
I hope you don't mind if I say that I love you.